Ladies and gentlemen, a man who's just paid us the greatest compliment because he's sold out today. I think your catering truck is completely cleaned out. From 4 Elements Catering, a round of applause, please, for Andy Richardson.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Yes, this is my 5th year. This time on my own. Before this, I was working for the Oyster Shack. So now I'm on my own. I've got my own company, so it's a little bit daunting, but at least I won't get, if anything goes wrong, at least the boss can't tell me off. So that's one of the main things. So today we're going to do a selection of canapes. So at 4 Elements, yes, we've got the street food wagon, but we do a lot of corporate work, private chefs work, weddings, you name it, we can do it. So most of our work in Salcombe is canape parties and things like that. So I thought I'd just give you a few simple, easy food. So please stick around, you will get canapes, and the ploy is that if I do canapes that you might stay because you might get some food. So hopefully, please don't walk away. So thanks for having us, thanks for organising it, and thanks for Fritz for your hard work today, au pairing. Cool, so we're going to start off with a fish cake. So we're going to make a simple fish cake in the blender using a bit of sea bass, a little bit of crab, and some spices. So I'm using sea bass today because I had a party on last night and we had some sea bass left, but you haven't got to use an expensive fish like this. You could use something like a pollock or a whiting or pouting. So it's going to simply just skin this off. Just take that one off. You can dry that one out if you like, and then we'll just literally chop it up. Fairly chunky. The pin bones have been removed. Anyway, when it comes to fish, obviously a little tip, if it smells of fish, probably leave it alone, leave it in the fish counter at the deli. If it doesn't smell of fish and it's nice and fresh and bright and firm, I'd buy it, but anything that smells too fishy, I'd give it a wide berth. Okay, so we've got some white meat there, and then we're just going to pop that into our blender. And then we've got a selection of different aromats and spices for this one as well, which I've pre-prepared. So we're going to use a bit of a Thai green paste into this one, so a bit of a Thai fish cake. So that's going to go into that. And then we're going to add a little bit of garlic into it as well, so we'll peel the garlic down. If you've got lazy garlic or crushed garlic, it's perfectly fine. I must admit, when I'm cooking at home, I'm one for a little tub of lazy garlic. But I couldn't really pull that one out today. So there's a little bit of garlic, just a rough chop. We haven't got to chop it because it's going to get blended. And that's going to go straight inside there. And then we've got a little bit of chili. These are quite spicy chili, so we're just going to take them. How many seeds in them? Same again, a bit of a rough chop. They haven't got to be overly chunky. Okay, and I've got a little bit of ginger, which we've peeled off, pre-peeled. We're going to throw that in there as well. Just give this needs to be a little bit more finer because obviously the blender is a bit more robust, so the blender's not going to do it it's not going to chop it up as easy as other ones would. There's quite a shortage of crab on the forecourt today, I'd say, on the market and on the festival today. And to be honest, when I formed my fish supply last week and I asked them, how's crab looking? Everyone was like, there's not much crab around. And I was like, you're joking. Why can't we get crabs for Crabfest? And there's a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's early in the year, so some of the factories that process the crab aren't open yet. So that's why there's a little bit of a shortage. And the price of crab has gone sky high. Some of the export markets, they're willing to pay a lot more for their crab meat than we are locally. So why would the local fishermen sell locally for half the prices they could to Asia? So a lot of the crab is getting sent away when it can get sent away. So that's some of the reasons why we haven't got as much crab. It's people don't appreciate it, people aren't willing to pay for it. And it's an underused product. A lot of seafood and shellfish in this country is not appreciated as much as it is on Europe. So we'll have to do our little bit just to champion. So we've got the lime zest into there. Nothing to do with me. He's about to cook a crab. Both spotted though. So we've got our lime juice into that. And we've got a little bit of chopped parsley and coriander going into there. Make sure I've got everything into it. Perfect. Have a little bit of lime juice. if you've got a dinner party or something happening, like you can pre-make this the day before. Just be careful if you put too much lime or lemon into there, the acid will carry on to cook it. So maybe leave that one out because it'll carry on cooking. But you can make this the day before. No problems. I'm just going to blend this one up. Just to make a bit of a force meat. Okay.
And Andy, can you just remind us what you've put in there for that mixer?
So we got, I don't remember myself now to be honest, so we got white meat in the minute, so white meat, chilli, ginger, coriander, garlic. Anyone else who's been listening? Bonus points? What were the two herbs? Parsley and coriander, there we go. Brilliant. Bonus points for listening. We're going to put some crab into there now. I didn't put the crab in there too early, so I wanted to kind of keep it a little bit more flaky. I could do it by hand. I'll be a bit lazy. We'll just give it a little pulse and just pulse it up just to mix it all in together. And then we will remove this down. There's some spoons somewhere. Take away the blade. Let's just dip out the back. A sharp blade there. Okay. And then you've got like our force meat. So if you've got a dinner party or some friends coming around, put that into a Tupperware tub now and you can leave it for a few hours, not an issue at all. And then we are going to take a tray. Where's your trays, Tom? Yeah, just a roasting tray. Have you got a bit of paper or something, mate? Got a bit of parchment, greaseproof paper, anything? Yeah, don't want it if not. It's cool, no problem. Olive oil.
Can you just tell us about 4 Elements?
So 4 Elements. We started 4 Elements off 5 years ago now, and it was a bit of a side hustle at the time, so just a bit of like a hobby on the side. Obviously I was working a full-time job. I had a newborn baby on the way, and I thought, I've got a bit of free time, let's set up a side hustle. Why not? So I set that up, and we just thought we'd come down and do a bit of street food, because that was the fashion at the time. Everyone was into street food. It was all quite popular. So we did a couple of festivals and markets and fairs, and it went down quite well. And it was just like a way of getting out of the kitchen, really, in fairness, even though I'm in the kitchen and I've got a team around me. But as a family, I wanted more of a life, to be honest. And hospitality, as you can appreciate, it's a very unsociable career. And I just wanted a little bit more of a social life out of it. It's not panned out like that, to be honest. But so that's how I started it. But then from that, we got our name out, and then we went into more corporate stuff. So we do a lot of buffets for Plymouth City Council, Princess Yachts. We got a contract for the Devon and Somerset Fire Service. So we do all their basic training. So literally when I say 4 Elements, we can do most things. We do. So like there's never a dull day. There's never a dull day at 4 Elements. But like last night we were doing a wedding for 100. So that's a bit about 4 Elements. And we do Instagram lives most Tuesdays. So if anyone's on Instagram, hit us up on Instagram. 4_Elements_catering. Every Tuesday night, you have me and Ben sat in our office, cooking, making cocktails, making fools of ourselves. Tom's one of my only viewers mostly. But yeah, so that's how we go.
Brilliant.
Okay, so I've popped them into the oven now, and we're just going to bake them off in there. So they should puff up and souffle up nicely. Okay, any questions? Feel free to shout out. Keep them. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a super duper simple, just a crouton. So a super simple salad. So we're just going to toast some breads off. Got another tray? Do you mind, please? Another roasting tray. Do you mind from that drawer down there? So it's a standard baguette. Yes, please. Thank you. So we'll put them onto a little baking tray. We'll drizzle them with olive oil.
That is so sweet, that olive oil. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so we've got our Wild Chef's Devons. This is another little bit of I ain't got enough spare time as well, so we thought we like wild camping, me and myself and my mate Ben. We like wild camping and cooking outside and living on Dartmoor and just having a general mess around on Dartmoor. So we've also got another Facebook, Instagram page called Wild Chefs Devon. So if anyone's into exploring, adventuring, cooking outside, we're there and we test pre-cooked meals and compare them against what we can do. So yeah, it's quite an interesting thing what we do. It's more like a hobby, but it's growing. Okay, so we've got the bread toasting inside the oven on full power, so hopefully that toasts up. And while we're doing that, we're going to start making a base for these little tarts. So this is like many years ago I worked in Spain, in Barcelona, 2 Michelin star restaurant. So this is quite a similar, inspired by that, but it's more of a Basque dish. It's like a little tomato tart with a little bit of crab meat. It's very popular over there. So we're going to start off by a nice warm pan, a little bit of olive oil, and a little bit of butter. Why do I use both? Obviously butter's got quite a low burning point. So if I just cooked it in butter, it just go black and it completely tastes. By cutting it with olive oil and butter together, it just brings that burning point a little bit higher. So a little bit of a trick for you there. And then we're going to take a shallot. I'm just going to cut into it all the way down. And then we're just going to brunoise this. So just little slides into it. And then as small as we possibly can.
So I do like a man who leaves being a top chef and then sets up 4 separate companies for quite a life.
Just for quite a life. But it is working. It is working. My wife might disagree quite a lot with me, but it is definitely working. We've got more of I do see the kids a lot more. It's definitely nice being your own boss. This one's not hot enough. Is it coming down? So we added the shallots in there to it, and we're going to sweat. So we're not frying, we're going to sweat it. So by sweating, we're softening, but we're not browning. So that's what we mean by sweating. We've also got some whites of the leek. So we're going to cut that in half, but we're going to take the middle bit out, just so that we can lay the leeks flat. That's hot now. Turn down. I had a new induction stove fitted in my kitchen at home, and it's an absolute nightmare. I can't get used to it at all. So
I am so jealous. I'd love to be able to chop anything like that without visiting Derriford.
It does happen. We normally get caught. My weapon of choice that catches me out is a mandolin. It's like a little Japanese veg slicer.
Yeah.
That's the one that normally catches us chefs out.
Specialist knives, do you?
So I've got globals at the minute. I have a selection of. I have globals. I have Robert Welch's. They're more readily available knife on the market, and quite reasonably priced as well. Victorinox, but yeah.
Hang on. What do you consider reasonable for a set of knives?
Reasonable price. Well, to be honest, the middle of the range is like £40 for a chef's knife, but then you can go up to like a handcrafted Damascus knife like this, and you're paying like $280 for one knife. So it's there is definitely different things. But when it comes to knives, every knife, I am crying from the shallots and the leeks, just so you know. So we're not immune to it. So we're just softening the leeks and the shallots into there, and then we're going to take a little bit of garlic. Hopefully there.
Right. £280 for a knife.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's what they pay. But then again, what would you pay for that? You look at cars and stuff, isn't it? Parts and consoles. It's just part of it, isn't it? Even like you go to screw things and you buy tools for them. It's crazy what you can pay, but it's tools of the job. So a nice little brunoise of garlic as well. That's going to go into there. And then we're going to take some tomatoes. And we'll just cut them, some cherry tomatoes. We're going to cut them through the equator, keep them fairly chunky. Okay. And then they're going to go into the pan. So we're just going to blister the tomatoes. So we don't want to mush them up. We just want to keep them fairly chunky. And then we're going to add our crab meat into this now. Oh, Tom, I haven't got a lighter, have you, anywhere? Tom, you've got a lighter? Don't worry if not, it's just to flambe my, thank you, it's just to flambe my cognac. And we're going to add some cognac into the pan, and hopefully we can get a bit of a torch. If not, it's no biggie. So we had a little bit of a flash, as you can see on there. We're just burning the alcohol. We want the flavour, but we don't want the bitterness of the alcohol. So once the alcohol's gone, all good. Okay, so that's into there. Then we're going to take a little bit of coriander, fresh coriander, and we just chop that down fairly fine. You're trying to showboat at the back of me, Tom, are you? You're trying to show off behind and juggle crabs, are we? Yeah. Cool, so we've got the mix in there. So everything's in there, all smelling nice. All beautiful flavours. A little bit of salt and pepper anywhere. A little bit of salt there. Just put a little bit of salt into that one. And then we're going to start to build our tart cases.
Are you looking good?
Looking alright, a little bit. Just a bit further off, going to firm them up a little bit more. Okay.
You are a typical master chef. I've never seen anyone with asbestos fingers can open an oven, just check, shove it back in, no wince of pain.
Okay, so then what we're going to do now is we're going to fill our little tarts. So we're going to put a little bit of tomato, a little bit of crab in each one. And then we go from there. So it's a super, literally, these can be pre-made before your party or you've got some family and friends coming around. So I'm not giving all away too many secrets, but I'll go into there. Any questions, anyone? Please feel free.
Questions so far?
Everyone goes quiet. Yeah.
They're just waiting for the cavalry charge at the end.
They're just waiting, yeah.
She does eat. We'll
try and get as many as we can. So yeah, this is if you're in Spain, if you're eating these in like Bilbao, or you'd be having they'd use more spider crab. It's a very, very underrated crab, which we don't really eat in this country, to be honest. But if you're in Spain, that's what they crave for, the spider crab. It's a lot of hard work to eat. To pick is hard work, but the flavour of spider crab's immense compared to our native browns, to be honest. So we got a little bit into each one. And then we're going to drizzle these with a little bit of like a tomato sauce that we've pre-made just on the top.
What goes into your tomato sauce that you made?
Tomato sauce, well, literally this is just onions, garlic, tomatoes, splash of olive oil, sweat it all down, roast it in the oven, and then we just literally blend it up. So nice and simple. So I'm not sure where that question came from, but you're more than happy if you could make a passata sauce or something like that as well. It's nothing. It's just that contrast of sauce on top of the tart that we're looking for. And then we're gonna, there we go. Slippery fingers.
I can actually smell that sauce from here. That is really strong. Lovely.
There we go. It's when it's heating up against when it hits the crab and the basil's just coming out of it. Okay, then we're just going to use this. I keep missing. I've got a blind spot. I've got one more missing too. Then we're just going to go for some manchego, so ground manchego cheese. So we're going to put some manchego cheese on the top of those, and then these are going to get pre-baked in the oven. This is something you can just pre-make these up before your guests arrive. I would have made them the night before, purely because the pastry will go soggy. It's one of my favourite hard cheeses, to be honest. If I was using a local cheese, I'd use probably like a quick, extra mature. It's quite a hard cheese. But yeah, you can use Parmesan, things like that, but it just works well with that. Okay. So they're going to go into a hot oven as well, and we're just going to warm the tart slightly, and hopefully the cheese gratinates nicely on top of there. So we've got our croutons, which we're just going to arrange on the plate. So nice bit of olive oil. Might hit them with a bit of sea salt as well, just to give them an extra crunch. Cool. All right, just clear my board up a little bit. I've got Parmesan everywhere now. Parmesan, manchego everywhere. Yeah. Cool. Cool. So that's all that gone away.
Looking good.
You haven't got a spare baguette or anything, have you?
A spare?
So don't worry, it's okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're a little bit moister than I would have expected them to be, in fairness. See, it even go wrong on lives. See, so we're going to toast. We'll toast a few more croquettes. I'll just say everyone can have a little try of those. Okay, so then we're going to make a very, very simple. This was on my time at the Lanesborough. We used to serve this dish wrapped up in an iceberg lettuce leaf. So it's one of Paul Gaylor, my old head chef. It was one of his signature dishes. And actually, Gordon Ramsay tried taking Paul Gaylor to court over the filling for his signature starter, because he said that he copied it. He said he copied the dish off Gordon Ramsay. So when Paul Gaylor went to court, he actually pulled out his City and Guilds assessment from when he was at college, and Gordon Ramsay was about 6. And he's like, actually, this is my assessment when I was at school. And he's like, all right, fair dues. But yeah, because chefs are like that. It's not so much now, but before it's like you're copying people's dishes they didn't like. So we've got some crab meat inside there. We're going to add some coriander. So super duper simple. Not too much. And go for a nice sliver of spring onion. So we just want the white of the spring onion for this one, really. So on a slight angle, try and keep the spring onion home. If we didn't slice these with a particular knife in the restaurant kitchen, you'd get told off about it. So slightly on the angle. I'll go into the mix. And then we're going to hit that with a little bit of mayonnaise. Another one of my favourite bits of equipment in the kitchen is a microplane. I don't know if everyone's seen these before. Super easy, perfect for garlic, perfect for ginger. Just zest them down. You get different thicknesses, but if I was going to advise on a bit of equipment to purchase, a microplane is one of the go-to bits of equipment. I don't work for them. I'm not sponsored by them. Don't worry. And then we just use a bit of lime. So when lime, then you can use it as a sieve as well. So you can sieve it through. So any seeds that go in just get caught as well. So it's worth. I also have a chilli somewhere. Have I got a spare chilli hanging around? And then I've got a tiny little chilli again. Take them out, Tom, do you mind? Cool. So we're toasting, coming up nice. So they're golden, they're getting golden brown. So we're going to take a sliver of these chilies again. Why do we add chili? To be honest, people like crab does need a little bit of work. Crab's quite a basic flavour, I don't know if anyone's noticed, in my opinion. So it does need a little bit something to add onto it. Hence why we're using quite strong aromats with this, like the cognacs, like the leeks, the onion families, the corianders, the chili. So it does need a little bit of lifting to bring it up. And I think that's why a lot of people are put off by crab and shellfish, because it does need a little bit of flavour to make it work. So we're going to mix all that into a small tub, and then at this stage we would add it a bit of salt, a bit of sea salt there. Cool, they're all fine. And then we're just going to take this and we're just going to pop it onto the tops of the bread. So very, very simple. All our cooking at 4 Elements is we don't like to overcomplicate it. Even when I was at the restaurant, I was at the Oyster Shack, my philosophy on food is let the ingredients do the talking. There's no point in overpowering things, overcomplicating things. I've worked in them kind of restaurants. I've run them kinds of restaurants, but to me, food's got to be just simple. Buy the best ingredients, treat it with respect, and you don't overcomplicate it. It's one of my kind of taglines, ethos. Cool. So we'll get them into there, and then we'll keep a few more for this one.
That looks brilliant. Have you got a busy period coming up?
We're more or less fully booked, Fitz, to be honest, but we're expanding rapidly. We keep taking more chefs on, and we get more inquiries.
Yeah, well, I'm expanding
rapidly.
Yeah,
we're doing quite well. But yeah, it's a busy season. Obviously, it's a backlog, to be honest. Even we're having weddings inquiring like for a month's notice because of cancellations and things. But yeah, the wedding market is absolutely it's crazy, to be honest.
Brilliant.
My business partner keeps cancelling his weddings because I keep taking bookings. So he's tried to book his wedding a few times now. So these ones here, to be honest, they're a little bit looser than I would have expected them to be. I should have probably put a little bit of breadcrumbs in there. But when you're not in your kitchen, it's always a little bit tricky. So these ones are going to be like a fish cake. We could have served them on a little bit of bread, just so everyone can have a little taste.
That looks lovely.
So it's quite an Asian-y vibe, which is not. There we go. I don't know if you want. We're going to have a run-up, or we're going to let people pass them around. I'm easy, whatever.
Ladies and
Everyone's
gentlemen.
sticking around, so we could attack different angles of the room, so everyone gets. Sorry for the front row people. I've been standing there all day. But should we maybe attack the different angles of the room so everyone gets a little taste?
So, John, don't do that. They're a dangerous audience. Seriously. You will be trampled, okay? They must come forward in an unruly mob, gouging, kicking and biting.
Wait for it, and I know what you're
And I know which ones are going to be there first. Wait for it. It's like the start of the Grand National.
Is it ready, steady, go? And there are Basque-style Spanish tarts. So, so we've got 3 dishes. So that's like our Thai-style fish cake crouton, we're going to call it now. Strange combo. We've got a simple crab salad on some croutons. And then we've got our Spanish Basque crab tarts. Thank you for having us. Any questions, please feel free.
Wonderful. Andy, that's been absolutely... Wait for it. Go!